What's good, everyone? Welcome back to our channel, TSF Entertainment in the building tonight. Joined by my brother in arms, Mr. Jacka Jordans.
What's going on, family? What's good? What's up,
I'm
everybody?
Retro CG. What's going on? What's going on? How was your day?
It was good. As you see, I'm still in my personal work uniform, but it was
Personal
good.
work
It was fresh off
uniform.
of work, but we wanted to get this out to the people.
Man, we got some stuff to talk about, man. So tonight we're gonna sit here and talk about uh Elarica Johnson, aka Autumn Night, aka Lakeisha Savage, aka Haley Colton, is leaving P Valley.
Man,
I
like
mean,
this was a shocker.
that was unexpected. Yo, when I read your text earlier today, I was like, "What's up? What's good?" Just Coco. Thank you for showing up and supporting tonight. Hope everything's good with you. Yo, when I got your text earlier, I was like, huh? Wait. So,
Yes,
I had to go to Twitter and see what was going on. And Katori Hall is pretty much confirming it. She says Autumn came in on a win, and that's exactly how she left. The strip club is a revolving door. So many women come and go. Autumn was saved by the pink, and she saved the pink. Goodbye, Miss Autumn Night. P Valley will never be the same.
it's
And
it's
I have
never
to
going to be the
agree.
same.
I'm going to have to agree. I don't think that P Valley is definitely going to be the same without her. Welcome in, Miss Honey. How are you doing today?
I am okay. How are you today? How are you guys doing?
We
Hey,
all
Miss
right.
Honey, what's going on?
We all right. We're here trying to figure out what's going on with Autumn
I'm
Night.
stunned, but I'm all right.
Oh, I know this hurts you, Jack. I know
Oh
this.
man, let me tell you, man, because this dude, it's so many different ways because a lot of stuff revolved around her. The whole Montavious thing revolved around her. So now, dude, I'm just lost for words. Like it said that with the research that I did, it said that she pretty much she came to the conclusion that her character has went as far as it possibly goes, as far as it possibly can go. No, it couldn't have. Like we came up with different scenarios offline yesterday, saying that it was different ways to explore Autumn's character.
Yeah.
And now this, first the
I,
Fat Boys break up, and now this.
well, according to Entertainment Weekly, looks like the actress was looking at the scripts for the season and the journeys of the characters where the pink was going. Autumn's journey felt like it was coming to an end. She has done what she needed to do, and it's time for her to move on. I don't understand how the story is. Here we are again with another transition in the writing, and I guess that explains, Miss Honey. Why we seeing different twists and turns where her character was going. I mean, she starts off as a protagonist, then an antagonist. She's a villain one episode, a hero the next episode. So I mean, the writing for the character itself was all over the place.
That's a
So
fact.
and all the other storylines were kind of almost built around her, with the exception of maybe Mercedes. I think
Hmm.
Mercedes' storyline was, started off with her, but then you know, kind of backed away from interaction with that character. Clifford's storyline has kind of come to a conclusion with her, but
Hmm.
then they brought Mississippi in, and then we have this whole thing with Montavious. I guess the question is, what was the point of kidnapping Diamond at the end of the episode if it's not going to lead back to Haley? So,
I'm almost to the point where we've seen the last of P Valley.
you think we have seen the last of P Valley?
I'm almost to that point. Have they renewed? Have they said anything about a renewal? Have we heard any information?
We
Like I'm
still
almost to the point. Like after this, I feel as though that we've seen the last of P Valley.
I mean, I feel like something's going on. Like something is going on that they're not telling, they're not talking about. People are suspecting it's
Ah,
contractual. I don't really know how much of it is tied into contracts, but she didn't have a large role in terms of scenes. We didn't she was probably one of our most least seen characters outside of Waldy. And I don't know. I mean, it seemed like Derek had more scenes than she did. They brought her back for this whole Mississippi situation. Even the way they were playing out the whole Andre's gonna run for mayor and the, all of this stuff is something going on, and I think it's staff related. I wouldn't be surprised at all if um we start seeing some more people fall off. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't start getting some more resignations
And
from
that's
this
my
show.
fear. And that's my fear.
I think it still goes back to my first uh, thought comes to mind is this whole Nikki Gilbert thing, with this lawsuit and everything. I don't know if we're trying to trim off some of the fat to, uh, make this show have its own legs outside of what she's alleging. Um, I really don't know. I mean, we've already seen, a difference between season 1 story arcs versus season 2 story arcs. We haven't gotten a renewal announcement yet for season 3. I guess if that was the case, it seems like this may have happened unexpectedly because of how the character was written and how, especially with making her pregnant. What
I
was the
was just
purpose of
about to say
making her
that.
pregnant and then just writing her off the show? If
I was
that's
just
the
about to
case,
say
they
that.
should have just had her killed off the show.
Yep.
Well, I mean, it's not an end to be Haley. They could. If all things were being equal, we should hear an announcement, especially if they get picked back up. That should be the natural ebb of things, is that if she's just leaving because she thinks her storyline is over, she should know whether her storyline is over or not.
That's right.
She should know that. Why is she quitting? She's quitting because she knows something. Something's afoot.
Right. Right.
Or
That's
it
what I
could be
think.
a situation like with Omar Hardrick with Power. He didn't like the direction that his character was going. Maybe she didn't agree with the direction of where the character was going for her, and she just, bowed out gracefully. You know, Maybe she didn't agree with the writing because even us as the fans have commented on several episodes that we feel like the writing is just so sporadic with her, you know, uh, and it's just literally night and day from episode to episode. One minute she's good, one minute she's bad. The next minute she's a hero, she's a villain. I mean, they just had her all over the place. There was no consistency with the character uh, throughout the season, and
Let's
the back and forth.
Something going on.
Yeah,
let's look at the ending. So let's look at the ending. So the ending of her character in this past episode in the finale, you just pretty much see her almost like a ride off into the sunset. Ha ha! I got the last laugh with the red hair, and it was pretty much nothing else after that. So
The way she rubbed that belly though, like, oh, I got a belly full of babies.
right.
yeah, so it's kind of like when she rubbed the belly and stuff like I'm like, okay, is that I don't know. I don't know. Cause I don't know. I thought that her character had so much potential and there was so many things, so many different ways they could have went with that and her pregnancy and Diamond getting kidnapped and getting kidnapped by the crew with the rings and all this other type of stuff. You didn't ran off on the plug with the money. They need to come and find you with the money and this, that, and the other, and you still got a whole attachment to Chuck and Lisa because you're pregnant by twin with
That's
twins.
right. That's right. I think that it's just weird because I mean we've seen in this show itself that they've recasted. Uh, well, the only person they really recasted was Coach,
Coach.
which they could very easily recast her as well. They could recast her. I mean, I think we've come to fall in love with this particular actress. I think she did a very good job playing the role. I think she did a very good
Mm-hmm.
job, especially for her to be a UK British actress. She did a very good job. But it's like you were saying, Miss Honey, there's other characters that kind of like disappeared out of the story and not explained away. Just like Yodi at the bar. She was Juniper's girlfriend, and now we have Juniper with a baby and she's pregnant by a dude. But all season one, we seen her having this,
Yep.
relationship with the bartender.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't even mentioned, and we went the whole season. We went the entire season, Not only did they not mention him, but we didn't even see the other brother, Corbin and Wayne's other brother. He
Oh,
was
after they kicked his ass the last
MIA. I mean, just MIA
yeah.
the entire season. Then we had the recast with Coach. There was a couple of other actors that didn't come back. And they were kind of like background characters or whatever the case may be. But it did explain for why all of a sudden we were missing these characters. It's just like with the mayor. I mean, they could have recasted him as well. Instead, they wrote him off, killed him off. So
Not Coffee. Nico Anon, typically, he and Brandy Evans, typically, you see them the most. In Contori Hall, you see them the most, and Jay Alphonse, you see them the most on social media. I want to know if they're wishing her well. Like, have they posted about her leaving? Like, what's the conversation with them?
I haven't seen anything on Brandy's page.
I
Actually,
haven't seen on any of
TSF
them.
Entertainment page follows both of them, and I haven't seen anything as of yet pertaining to her leaving at all. So it
That
could be
feels
just
like
something.
animosity. If you're saying
Yeah,
that,
it
if
could
that's
be
the
something that
case,
comes out later. Yep.
that's animosity. I don't care what anyone
Mhm.
says, and I said before, it's something awkward when we see, and it's not just that he's a straight man playing a gay character between Jay Alphonse and Uncle Clifford. There's something off there. There is something off there. It's something going on cast wise. I stand by that, and I'm prepared to be wrong too, but I stand by that. It just feels like there's some animosity there. I don't know how deep it runs. I don't know how far reaching it is through the entire cast, but it just kind of feels like they're rebuilding the Pink that we knew, and they're doing some shifting and some changing.
And that is pretty evident with our response to the season finale. We all felt like, this could have been a different ending, should have been a different ending. And I
Mhm.
think that this was an ending that we received based off of her decision to leave the show. I think that's how we got the ending that we got.
Probably had alternate endings.
It was an alternate ending. I don't think that this was the original ending. Um, and let me see, Angelica, you're right. Katori has mentioned several times that she's had to change about 90% of the script due to COVID. And I just felt like that was more so centered around getting cast members to come back and
Yeah,
production
that's what I
and
thought
everything
too.
like that. But it just
Well,
seems like
I
this
mean, the
was a little
viewers are
different.
the bread and butter. The viewers are the bread and butter. So she's gonna say what she has to say to drive that next season.
Yeah, I agree.
That's why she's coming in and doing a lot of explaining, in my opinion.
She
Okay.
has to. It had to be more explained too after this, because this was just kind of like a we haven't even recovered from the 24 hours of the stars. If you just got the regular stars, not the app, but when the time it comes on stars on your TV provider, it ain't even been 24 hours yet,
That's
and
right.
here
No.
come this bomb.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's there's more going on there than what we're being told. And if
Hmm.
you just look at the overall way they're handling it, it's no way that these people who are super rah 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 are not wishing this lady well. If they're not wishing her well, just as an actress, that's a big red flag for me.
And once again, just like I said yesterday, once again, we're going to have to deal with them having to rewrite the story again. Here we are,
Yeah,
season 3. Now they're going to have to rechange the whole story arc because which I just don't.
if it's a
Again,
season 3.
I go back to just recast the actress, and then you can keep the story going with Haley. I mean, I don't understand that. So with that being
But
said, what do you think?
if you got a person
Oh,
if you
you
got
breaking up?
person A dropping off and person B dropping off, you're gonna have to really recast a lot of different people. Like I don't know.
Yeah. What do you think? How do you think the story is going to move forward now without this character?
I honestly, hmm, I don't know, man. I don't know, because of the whole Montavious thing, and the reason that Montavious even came up was because of Haley. I honestly don't even know which direction that we could possibly go. Like, she was the main reason
Yeah.
for Diamond
What
being
do you do with the
kidnapped.
Montana story?
Yeah, what
Like
do
she
you
was
do
the
with
main.
that
So
What do
the
you
way
do
storyline?
with
it
the
ended,
Montana
the way it
story?
ended was because of Haley, because of Lakeisha Savage. So now, where do we go from here? I have no idea of how to predict what's going to happen next. It's going to be interesting to even gain the interest
You do
of
Andre
some
here.
pissed off viewers.
What do you do with
It's
Andre?
right.
Q1 is saying that's why she thinks that they brought Andre's wife back, man.
Could be.
Could be a quick way to save his
Could
character because there was really no story for him without Haley.
at all.
So, and to be quite honest with you, there's really still no story without Haley. Even with the wife, we're
It's
not
not.
interested in her, and we're not interested in this relationship with his father. So, us seeing him go up to that
Diamond's
jail,
dead.
I'm not interested in that.
That's why I'm saying, like, where does P Valley go? Diamond is dead because the person who they're looking for, who got the money, and the reason that Montavious even got there is no longer there. If you don't recast her, I don't see what's how do we move on? Diamond is
You,
dead. You might as well
you
kill him.
just don't talk about it, and you're gonna have a whole season 3 where people keep asking about what about Haley.
Yep.
What about Haley and Andre? That's what it's gonna be the whole season because we don't forget. We're gonna keep asking and asking, and they're just either not gonna address it or they're gonna say, "Well, they're Haley left, so we're not following that storyline." So now, what are we following? Drugs being sold through the pink, a female
Are we
pimp.
following the HVH against
I
main
guess
crew?
so. I guess so. But to me, that is going to change the DNA of the show. If without that character in some storyline, even if it's small, intricate, large part of the story, we were introduced the very first scene, season 1, episode 1, showed her getting her that suitcase out of the water. So the story was built around Haley.
She
So
started the show.
she started the show.
Right.
So she's one of those characters that you expect to end the series. You don't end this character's story arc in season 3 at the beginning of season 3. So now the whole DNA of the show now is going to be something totally different than what we are reminiscent to. A lot
It's
of
a
people in
mess.
the chat are saying that they're probably going to recast her. I hope that they do.
They have to recast her, just even if it's just to neaten those storylines up.
If even if it's nothing else than to bring the baby element into the
Right.
story, with Andre the twins, because you're right, Angelica, she gave him that box of cigars. Usually that's congratulations gift you give to a male who's expecting a child.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, you think we'll get like a postcard from Haley with like the ultrasound sent to Andre or something?
and I thought about
Something
that
like that.
too. But I hope they don't do this shit like how they do over in book 2, where every time they reference ghosts, there's no voiceover for him. There's no, flashback to him or anything. He's just mentioned by name by another character. Or
Right, right.
if she does send Andre a letter or a text message or a postcard, it's going to be read in his voice instead of her voice. It's going to be one of those situations.
Or they're gonna send 2 babies back and say Autumn's gone now. These are your babies. It's 9 months later. I mean, like, what are we doing? What's happening here? Like, I don't. It's weird. It's just
I agree.
weird.
Keep it cute.
That's right. Keep it cute. You're absolutely right. So she's
I
saying,
agree.
on the Shah, this happened. One of the main characters was gone, and the entire show changed, and it hurt the show. We've seen this a lot. In other shows, we've seen this, and we know what's going to happen with that. Now, I do think there are other stronger characters that can keep the show afloat if we're following this same DNA. But I just think that this is going to change the whole DNA of the show because now we're going to have a new protagonist, which I guess that's going to become Roulette. It's going to be Uncle Clifford versus Roulette now, and her pimping out of the club.
Yeah.
It's going to be them selling the drugs out of the club to try to get the money back that she stole, that Haley stole. So there's still going to be a reference back to that character. They're not going to be able to start that character off and never mention her by name again.
Right.
They're going to have to reference her in some way, shape, or form, or fashion. The club is back in destitution again because she took the money. You're right,
They
honey.
knew Haley was leaving. They knew the Haley character was leaving. That's why they put Clifford back up on top, like he's so wise. He was
and bought the club back. And she had to get the last laugh.
Yeah. Sent her off the wall. That's why that whole conversation happened, you know, with Diamond and Big L. They knew it. They knew it.
Simply just recast it. We could have did the whole Aunt Viv thing. You know what I'm saying? Like we could have did something like that. Anything. Just
I think that's what's going to end up happening, or somewhere in the middle of production, because I mean at this point they haven't started production for season 3 yet because we haven't got the announcement. So maybe whatever issues, because I agree with you, Miss Honey, there's something behind closed doors that we're not privy to that's going on. So maybe within that time we get the announcement and they start pre-production. Maybe they'll work out whatever.
And maybe they haven't gotten a season 3 contract because Stars doesn't know how they're going to do it. Maybe they have to write it and prove that it's going to work before Stars will say, guess what, we'll pick you up.
That's right. Maybe the network has an issue with it. You know,
right.
Especially Stars.
Especially if you don't have, if you're not taking this story somewhere where it's going to be entertaining, why would they put their money behind it?
That's right.
Right.
You know how Stars is, they're heavily involved with the writing and the storyline. So I could and
frankly, we've got enough mediocre programming out there, frankly.
Yeah.
So like what's the what?
It's so disappointing because this really was a good show and it had such good potential. And we oftentimes see that. That whatever contractual disputes that the writers may have with the network or the showrunners may have with the network, instead of them trying to shop around and move to another network, the show just goes away. You know, we've seen it with Luke Cage. You know, Luke Cage was a really good story.
Luke Cage was a good.
It was really good
show,
and it was really starting to take legs because season 1 was just terrible, but season 2 was really good. And we lost that story. We lost that show. I agree. We think that to keep consistency, recast her because the character has ended, even if she returns and gets killed by Montavious crew. I don't necessarily think that it would have just been better if they would have had it where she would have been kidnapped by, instead of Diamond getting kidnapped, Haley should have been kidnapped. She should have been the one that was kidnapped.
Good point. Yeah, she should have been. That would have made so much better. That would have saved this conversation as far as where the DNA going to go as far as the show, because then we like, okay, it makes sense for her to get kidnapped, because if it wasn't for her, then none of this shit would have happened. But everything that happened in the Paradise Room and everything, it all comes back to her. Not saying that she was the only main character, but the plot, a lot of the plot in this season and the prior season was surrounded by the mystery of Haley.
That's right.
And frankly, it just proves that season finale, episode 10, was piecemeal together. It just proves it, because why wouldn't you have written it differently had you known far in advance that she was leaving?
That's right. That's right. Angelica thinks that they're banking on Mercedes and Uncle Clifford to be able to lead the show, but how long is that going to last? I agree.
Well, I mean, it's proven that Uncle Clifford can't carry the show, in my opinion.
Well, they may be banking on that whole little murder story arc and Uncle Clifford to be what.
But then you're just speaking to one demographic, though. If you do that, you're just speaking to one demographic. You're speaking to basically hoes, because that's all Roulette is speaking to. Okay, you're speaking to a certain demographic of people that's going to buy into a whole season being just about those storylines. Like, it's just, you're cutting out a whole demographic of people if you're going to take out Haley and Andre's love story. And y'all done made the girl pregnant with twins.
A good point, Angelica.
I know as a heterosexual woman, I'm going to be like, what gives?
Angelica
like, where is that part of the story?
Angelica is saying, I don't think that she thinks that somebody's lying and that they may have told the writer after the show finished filming, and they're now just
Maybe.
kind of trying to cover up tracks and and try to piece together
Or
something
maybe because she didn't have a lot of dialogue. She did not have a lot of scenes where she was really, really, really impactful. She moved that casino storyline around a little bit. We thought they were gonna kick something up with. I mean, you guys know I thought she was gonna be the first lady of Chucalissa.
That's right. And to me, that would have been a better direction to take the story in. This direction that they're going in now, it just so we're going to have the Pink and the casino. I just don't see how much interest we're going to have in that casino being up and going. We don't care.
None.
That's not what we came to P Valley for. We came to P Valley for the Pink. So that storyline with the casino is uninteresting. Patrice being mayor, I'm not interested in a storyline about that.
Couldn't care less.
Could care less. And I don't think that the Mercedes experience is going to be strong enough, long enough for us to carry a whole season about her in that dance studio. That's not going to be enough. If the story is not centered around the happenings at that club, is not going to be the same show.
It's not.
I don't think so either. Xavier, I saw the message where you said we said goodbye to Autumn, but we ain't said goodbye to Haley. I think she's done. Like it's done. Like I think it's all around a wrap.
I don't understand how, for me, I just kind of feel like when Teak unalived himself and Murder went to Clifford's house, I think that was the last part of the actual written script that they had. Everything else after that was designed to guide us towards Haley leaving, kicking Haley out off the show and getting rid of her.
Now I need to go back and watch some other episodes because it's just interesting that you bring up that point. I'm gonna have to go back and watch other episodes and see how they actually portray her character and how many times she actually show up in these previous episodes. This is crazy.
But if you start off at the beginning of the season, quintessential, yes, I mentioned that when we first started. I don't understand why they felt the need to have Diamond kidnapped. That story does tie back to Haley. So
me either.
I'm uninterested in that story now. I'm uninterested in that story now. If it doesn't revolve back to that character,
what's the point?
I don't care. Yeah, I don't care anymore.
Because now Diamond is dead. Like if you kill Diamond off, it's not even gonna matter.
Right. It's not even gonna matter. They should have just
not even gonna matter.
They should have unalived him last night. The only thing that I think is going to save Diamond, the only thing that I think would save Diamond's character is the Keyshawn element. And somehow, somewhere, he's going to get free from them or whatever, or he's going to end up killing them, and then he's going to find his way back to his true love, Mississippi, whatever. That's an interesting storyline, but I don't want to see a whole season of it. Just like we were saying last night, we do not want to see another whole season of that girl in captivity and being beaten. And now we're going to see her, a whole storyline around her having to deal with social services now and CPS.
When you already set up an entire storyline set for her to go away, rebuild herself.
That's right.
Now that was another awkward moment. Like it was so random. Her stepmother answering the door and telling her she had called Derek. Like, what the heck is going on?
Right. We didn't even need to see that lady anymore after episode 5. After episode 5, there was no other reason for us to see that stepmother anymore. So she was thrown in to add some type of flair for dramatic or whatever.
But what you're doing is keeping the Mississippi character on the show. You're not writing the Mississippi character off because we're losing another major character. So we need to find a way to keep Mississippi here. We can't send her off now. We got to keep this going because this is something for the people to feed on. And if we get a season 3, I'm telling you, they're not giving them a season 3 because they don't know for sure if Katori is able to pull this thing together.
That's why I say I think we saw the end of the Pink.
Angelica says she don't think that she liked the storyline this season, and that could be the case too. Because if you look at how episode 1, maybe 2, maybe 3, Haley was much different. Autumn Knight's character, her and Mercedes were living together. They were getting along. She was looking after Mercedes. She was helping her pay her bills. She negotiated for her to get a cut off the door. She came to
Yep.
see about her shoulder. And that was
Yep.
another thing. I didn't like the fact that, I don't know if it was episode 8 or 9, where her and Mercedes was having that argument. And, we were talking about the shoulder. At the beginning of the season, Haley was very much concerned about Mercedes' shoulder because she even
Yep.
offered her a doctor's appointment. So
And that whole thing went dead. That
went
whole
dead.
thing died.
It went dead. If she's done, then we're going to be missing the driving force of the series. Why do we care about the Deltas? We don't. Why do we care about Andre? We don't. They can't have these stories without Haley. Agreed, Xavier. Totally agreed.
And now we know why they were filling the show with so much salacious stuff. And it just bothers me because people were like, oh no, people just don't want to see same-sex sex and all of this stuff. It has nothing to do with anything. I really enjoyed the Teak little murder scene where we found out that those two had been intimate. Like,
and I don't even
I
understand
thought
why
that
they
was one of the
unallowed
better
him.
episodes.
They shouldn't have unallowed him because that would have made, if we were going to keep this love, if we were going to keep this love interest between Little Murder and Uncle Clifford, adding Teak to that would have made it a triangle.
It would have been a triangle.
And it would have made it a more interesting story arc.
Then what did we get after that? We just got it just you keep dropping these scenes, but they're not building the characters. They're not edifying the characters you built up at all. It's just minutia. We're just going through the motions of things, and it's okay for the eye, and whatever people get from it from a visual standpoint, but the show that you built up, which was so rich and so textured and so diverse and had such depth, that just went away, really. And all we were being given are these reality TV sex scenes. Like, what are we doing?
You know what, Xavier? I was thinking that as I was considering that thought as well. They may have just reduced her role, but then I go back to the fact that this season was pretty much still centered around her because we went through this Ghost of Montavious haunting the club, and she was in the club by herself, and premonitions
that went away. That dropped. We have not gone back to that.
Premonitions of Montavious, the whole Big Bone situation, the fact that she picked Big Bone. There were so many elements that Haley was still involved. I don't think that they reduced her role. I think that it became maybe mid-season because some of these shows, and I don't think it happened with this, but some of these shows, even while the show is airing, they're still producing episodes, maybe the later episodes. Maybe like towards the last 3 to 4 episodes, maybe still be in production while the show is going on. But the fact that this show had been gone for 2 years and brought back, this season should have been written. Season 3 should have been written. There should not have been any ongoing writing or production for a show that had been gone for 2 years. So I think that when she dropped that bomb on them that she wasn't coming back, is scrambling now to come up with an alternate ending and to try to take a direction to the story. And I think our most plausible theory so far that we've come up with, it may be the network is concerned now of where the story is going to go because this is a pivotal character. And now that if you're not going to recast this character, how are you going to continue this story without this character, especially now that you made her pregnant? Made her pregnant by someone who's now decided to move back to Chuckalisa. I'm not interested in. There is no scenes with Andre without Haley. Why else?
There's no point.
Yeah, why else would we want to even see
She's
Andre
not the mayor.
If there's no interaction with him and
open up
Haley?
this little law office in the corner of Chuckalisa was only 500 square feet. Nobody cares.
His character has been a dud all season. All we were waiting on was for him and Autumn to get back together and move forward with what was going on with the casino as it pertains to the Pink. Like, I'm telling you, it just went off the rails there. I can't say for sure what episode, but it just felt like things got really different after the Teak episode. And what they gave us was just more like eye candy as opposed to the depth of writing that we have been seeing.
You know what? That's right. What pulls my teeth? What was the purpose of the whole sex tape story if Lil Murder was going to just out himself in the last episode? Why?
Bro, I
Why
ain't
take
even
us to
think
the
about that.
fear of Rome having a sex tape, and you know
He ain't
that
had
was
to kill
a waste of
Roman.
storyline too. That was a waste
Well,
of
he probably
storyline
had to
too.
kill him because he did try to rape Mississippi. But that was definitely a waste of storyline because he like always protected because he had a tape, or whatever. But now the tape, that none of that stuff matters because at the end you see Lil Murder smiling and coming out, and I'm just so disappointed.
None of that stuff matters. None of that
I'm
stuff
just
matters if
disappointed
they
because
don't
none of it
bring.
matters.
And you know what? And I think it could have been where grandmother Ernestine was supposed to die, but because of all this, we have to keep her character alive now because she adds some substance to the show as well. Um, it's a remix to what was supposed to have happened. All these characters' story arc had an alternate ending. All of them had a different direction they were supposed to have gone in. But because the main character, one of the main characters, is leaving the show, now we have to rewrite these stories that we had already had conclusions for.
You guys
Oh
are
boy,
spot on. I mean,
it's
as far as
disappointing.
I'm
I don't even think
concerned,
y'all know how disappointed I am in the show now.
I
That
know you were
Haley, not
disappointed. You're almost
not only
disappointed to the
not
point
only
where you
because
might
Haley
not come
was
back because you
not
love
only
Haley.
because Haley was my girl. Like I had Lakeisha Savage right here. You understand me? She was right here every Sunday, even when she wasn't on the show. She was right here, and now for her to just to be going the way that she's gone, I'm like, all right. I see it. She gonna come back. Me and Retro, we talked about it. Like, okay, she gonna come back because now
Sure
they gotta talk
did.
about how getting Diamond back. They gotta
Yep.
figure out how they gonna get Diamond back, and she is like the main component of helping with that. Really, either she gonna have to give herself up to get Diamond back, or it's something that she has that she possibly can give them to actually get Diamond back, or whatever the case is. Now that is gone.
The whole
gone,
purpose of her stealing the money and all of that and all that story is just wipe all that off of the writers' room. Right, wipe all of that out of the writers' room and go in a different direction. You know what, Xavier? We kind of mentioned that a little bit yesterday too. This episode felt like if it wasn't for Diamond getting kidnapped, we said this yesterday, as a matter of fact. If it wasn't for Diamond getting kidnapped, it did feel like it could be the conclusion of P Valley, like
yeah.
Yeah,
the end of the series. It
And
definitely feel like it.
honestly, when you think about the audience that you're speaking to now, it's just as diverse. Just magnify that, 100 times. You've got people from all different ilks and walks of life, and lifestyles, and we all love the show. We all are going to have these questions. It's going to just take all of the constructive criticism, the thoughtful ideas about how they're going to work this out, how is it going to work, yada yada yada, and magnify that 100 times. They have millions of viewers. We are all going to be asking these questions. How are they going to answer them? Katori comes on after every show and have these conversations. Where is Katori?
Isn't that today or tomorrow? I can't wait to find that out this week.
She usually
oh
does it on
man,
right after the show. She does
I
something
got
on Twitter.
I got to hear about this because like I said, it is just so much to unpack with her going that it's the big body situation. The I don't know.
I mean, and
Not Brandon.
everybody's
I'm sorry,
invested in their
Mercedes.
own way. They're going to have to say something to us.
Mercedes and the whole dance hall, dance instruction thing, dance exercise thing. I mean, that's not going to really last. Pastor Bishop, that's not really going to last. I could care less. Okay, so what could be interesting and what might capture my interest for a little while is Terica. With Terica coming into the fold, that might hold me over for a couple of episodes. But that's about it. like we kind of already see where that's going.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but that's about
Yeah, we don't
it.
even need a
Other than
season.
that,
We don't
Right.
even, yeah, we don't need nothing but a scene with that because we already know where
Uh,
that's going.
But this
right?
is why we
We
love the
okay.
show. It was something for everyone. It was
Yeah,
something for everyone.
yeah,
You didn't get bored. Everything was so layered and textured that there was something for you to involve yourself in, whether it spoke to your life or not. Like,
that's right.
They cut
it's
me.
just
They cut me deep.
crazy.
They cut me deep.
It's just
They
crazy. I mean,
they
for
cut
them
me
not
deep.
to have told us,
Like
it's fine. They don't really owe us anything, but I still,
well,
I mean,
shit.
you've
They owe me
explained
something.
everything else.
You're
You
right. What pulls my teeth, and I know Miss Honey's going to agree with this comment. We started the show off following Autumn's journey, but now it feels like it turned into the Little Murder and Uncle Clifford show.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not I mean, you guys know I really, really enjoyed what we were getting from Little Murder. And I was hoping that it was going to lead to us learning a little bit more about Clifford, but we haven't learned anything new about this character, and
Mm.
we've had these really fractured moments with the other characters. I mean, they gave Mississippi an entire episode, you guys.
And the only person that got an entire episode.
Yeah,
But
an
Poised
I
entire
to
guess
land
because
episode.
the
flat,
theme, I guess because
and it
the
landed
center
flat.
point of that theme was domestic violence, so they had to make that a big focal point for the show. However, uh, you're right, Xavier. I didn't care for Haley, just not liking her on the show per se. But I did like the story. I like the way that character was written because that character was written with such substance. She was business, and they gave us so many different things to be invested in her as a character.
Yeah,
They
we
made
were
us not like
introduced to the
her.
Delta Boys
They
through
made us
that.
like her. They made us not like her. They made us interested in her backstory. They left doors, open and closed at the same time because instead of giving her pregnancy, they could have just made her child alive because we all suspected that her child could still possibly still be alive
Another
or whatever.
open-ended
Right.
story.
There was just everything that was centered around this character was open ended.
They
They
put
touched
so
on the fact
much
that
in
she had a corporate
investing.
background, and we needed to understand where did she develop this business acumen from. You know,
Yeah. Who was Montavious? Who are the Delta Boys? I mean,
yeah,
Montavious was so important to the storyline. They had him haunting the
everyone on the show,
pink.
The
everyone on the show,
ring and his hand
everyone.
coming through the
Montavious was haunting
floor.
everyone.
Like it's crazy, and like we were so they invested so much into Haley to not to let it go like this. The way they invested into her and introducing her and introducing her and bringing her character and different layers of her character too is time after time and time again for it to be an open door to all these other layers. It's just
They stopped
I,
developing Haley in season one. It just feels like that now. I don't know. Maybe 3 episodes into season two, but they stopped developing that character at some point. They stopped developing that Clifford character that went stalled out, and then they picked it back up. Like the characters that they started the show with, they haven't really developed. Outside of Mercedes, they've done some development with her. We've had some movement with that, but it wasn't expounded upon in this really thoughtful way. Okay, that's fine. All of that's fine. But what about these really huge story arcs that has moved all of these characters around Chuckalisa?
Because I think the the answer to that is season one had less story arcs going on. And the story arcs that they did have going on, they all intertwined with the other characters. I think in season two, they had too many different storylines going on at the same time and trying to figure out what direction they were going to go and how they tied
Right.
back to the other characters. At least
Right.
in season one, Haley was she was the nucleus, she was the nexus.
Mm-hmm.
All the characters interacted with her. Mercedes interacted with her. The people at the club interacted with her.
Yep.
Montavious, Uncle Clifford. And then you go to season two, you still try to take that formula on over to season two, where she's interacting with Andre in the casino, and she's interacting with Georgie, she's interacting with Corbin, but still you kind of, cut her off from interacting with Mercedes. You cut her, then you add her to interacting with Mississippi. So you took the character and you started putting her into other story arcs that she wasn't ready to be a part of yet. Her character hadn't grew into these other story arcs. And then you add the whole story arc to Little Murder and Uncle Clifford, and then the whole gang thing. I'm not interested in seeing this whole gang thing. We knew enough of that season 1 to knew that there was tension between the rival gangs, and that's where it needed to stay. Now we're gonna have a whole season of Maine trying to kill Little Murder and Little Murder trying to kill Maine. I don't want
I
to see
just don't get it. I
Couldn't care
don't get
less.
it. It's like they brought a whole pie to the party, and when you open the box, there's pieces missing. There's bites taken out of it. Like, how are you going to bring us season 3 and the whole pie isn't there because it's all connected. Like all the slices, all the pieces make the whole pie, and you're going to bring us back a pie that's been dug out of, broken off of, slices are missing. Like I don't. You're
That's a good
You
question,
do
Xavier.
that, Xavier, but I don't think it was from the dude from Pussyland. It was the mayor. If you go back to that episode in season 1 where Uncle Clifford shows up to the barbershop and the mayor Ruffin is brushing his beard, you see the ring there. So the mayor was a part of the game. The mayor was a part of the game, but they had to scrap that storyline when they killed that character off, which they could have recasted him as well. So
They should have recast him.
they should have recasted him because I wanted to see where that story was going. Where,
I forgot about that.
yeah, the mayor was allegedly a part of this game, and so now I don't even want to see the story anymore. I'm not interested in it anymore because the person that they are after is gone. The person that they're chasing is gone. At best, all we can assume is that they're going to kill Diamond. Then what? Then they just pack up and go back to Texas?
He's good as dead. They can't. What's the point? What's the point of kidnapping him if you can't get to Haley?
Yeah, if you can't get to Haley through him, then there was no point. It would have, like I said,
dead.
it would have been better written if they would have kidnapped her. When she was leaving that club with that $250,000, they should have shown her walking out of the club smiling that she had got that check. They should have bagged her ass up, threw her in the back of the trunk. That would have been a more interesting storyline than kidnapping.
Because then we have a conversation of where's Haley.
Then we have a conversation. Yeah.
Now it's just, I'm disappointed.
I said that, Angelica. Now we'll never know how she met Montavious. We'll never know how she became a corporate accountant. Was she working for Montavious' business? Was it Montavious' business that she was the corporate accountant for? How did they cross paths?
At least Power 6 seasons ran its course.
And that's all it could have been. It could have been a scene where she was having a conversation with someone about Montavious. It didn't even have to be a whole episode, a flashback episode. It could have been just as simple as a scene of her flashing back to how she met Montavious and what type
of man,
what type of danger. Because apparently, because she flocked to Mississippi and tried to help her, obviously there was some elements where she was abused by Montavious as well. And that's why she felt the need to help out Mississippi. They could have expanded on that.
I mean, we have a whole secret society / mob that we could have brought in. These Delta boys, people love a good thriller. Nothing, nada, went dead. The Montavious story went dead at like episode 4. Episode 5, it wasn't for the characters bringing up what happened in the portal to hell room every 5 minutes. We wouldn't have even remembered that whole Montavious situation.
That's right.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know what's going on, but I go back to my pie reference. Them cutting out Haley and not reintroducing her even in the form of a different actress is going to cut out a whole section of their viewership. I mean, their viewership is so diverse. They're cutting out a huge part of it. People who won't come back just because of the way they did it, how they handle it. They don't like it. So I don't know. They got to get this together. They got to fix it, and I really hope they do, because it's nothing like having a show unfinished.
I don't think there's no bouncing back from it.
I mean,
personally, I don't think you could bounce back from it. I think if they do decide to pick up season 3, I don't think they're going to be able to bounce back completely from the fans that they could lose from this, because the storyline is completely changed altogether.
Well, it's
And
not like she
my
wasn't
my
in
big
the final episode.
my biggest opinion is that P Valley is done. I don't think it's going to come back. I could be wrong, but if it does come back, it's gonna be hard to bounce back. It's going to be hard. They didn't say we was getting another season three. I mean, getting to season three. Then the season two took 2 years. I even seen. If y'all go to the TSF Entertainment Instagram page, you'll see where I posted something up that says TS where season three could be coming. But somebody here said, well, what we not going to do is wait 10 years for season three to be coming. So
Mr. Greg,
I don't know.
great point. I mean, it's just so many. We could just go back to pretty much every episode and find something that they just left on the table and didn't expand on. Mr. Gregg says, not to mention they completely scrapped the storyline of the police officer, the sheriff, trying to get Mississippi to give him Haley's real name. There was something there. There was something there. And it was supposed to be what I think it was supposed to have been is remember when Montavious first came to town, he went down to the police officer and filed a missing report. And the sheriff was the one who's going around putting the flyers up about her. So with the fact that she bought the club and everything, that sheriff was supposed to figure out or look into where she got that money from.
Yeah, I do remember that.
There was supposed to be something with that, but they scrapped
that.
That didn't go no further than him sitting out on the porch with Mississippi drinking that lemonade. That didn't go no further than that. I forgot all about
And Mississippi never brought it up to Haley.
And she never told her that, hey, this man was asking for your real name. You're right.
Somebody that help you plan your entire escape from your abuser. And you don't say, hey, by the way, watch out because the sheriff is checking into you. Nothing, nada, zero.
Gave her the whole thing, and that's what leads up to out Mississippi. They let Mississippi get the kids to going about their business because they knew Haley was gonna be gone.
So all she said, retro, in the article, I didn't read it, but because I was out and about. But all she said was she feels like the character has gone as far as it can go, and then that's it. She didn't say anything else about whether she's going somewhere else or new opportunities or nothing.
I didn't see anything when I first saw
it. Looks like on IMDb she's casted already for another movie or maybe a show or something. Looks like she is casted for. Let me get my life right. Looks like she is casted for Sexual Healing. They haven't announced a production date on this. She's playing Janice Gale. So it looks like she's moving on to another show or maybe a movie or something.
You know, she may just have felt like she wasn't getting enough work there, enough exposure. I don't know if they get paid by the episode or scene. Or...
I think they do. I think they get paid by the episode. But I mean, she was pretty much in all the episodes, though.
I think by the next,
she was in 17 episodes according to IMDb. So I mean, or I think it's just what she says. I think she felt like the character had ran its course, and she just didn't like the direction that the character was going in. I don't think that she liked herself the way they were writing her character. I hope that's not the case, Angelica, but it looks like that may be. If they do get renewed for season 3, that might be the end all. That might be the end all.
They could. I'm going to be the optimistic one this time, JLJ. They could salvage this show by recasting Haley and just being more intentional with the storyline. Not gratuitous, not salacious. It's fine in little bits here and there. But the reason why we locked onto this show is because not only was it graphic, which is fun, yay, but also it was so much depth.
Right.
Haley leaving shines a light on all of the holes in this season. It was still a good season, even with the holes.
Yeah, it was a good season, and it's still a good show, and it still has potential to be a good show.
Yeah,
it's just that they need to clean up what's going on in that writers' room, and
let's get it together,
and let's get some announcements out here of what we're doing with season 3.
Yeah, because, I think it's very telling that she has made her announcement and it's dead silent from the rest of the cast.
And she made the announcement before the show was renewed. So
yeah, and CJ Alphonse, he's like Brandy and Nico Anand's they promote each other. They lift each other up out on social media. They celebrate each other. So it's very telling. There's no conversation from the rest of the cast about her leaving.
I struggled with that as well, Angelica. I wanted to see some type of reconciliation between Mercedes and Haley because they grew into a real friendship. She went and got her out of jail. She gave her the 10K for the dance gym. They were living together. They were roommates. So, they ended on a sour note, but there should have been, we should have seen her make amends with everyone that she had beef with, including Uncle Clifford. If she was going to leave like that, instead of her running off with the money, they should have made her make amends with all the characters that she had beef with and give her a proper standoff. But I think it was unexpected. I think her decision to leave the show was unexpected, and they didn't compensate that in the writing. So they thought that they were going to be able to reach back and pull her back into season 3. Where she's going to come back with these babies and drop a bomb on Andre, and she was going to come back and maybe try to figure out a way to get uh, which I would have liked to see her come back and make problems for Corbin and them with that casino. I would have liked to found. I would have liked for her to have found a way to, block that casino from coming to town or get in the middle of that. You know, they made her a very crafty, um, uh, methodical character. She shouldn't have been outsmarted like this. And if she was outsmarted, she should have had a get back. She should have been able, just like she got Uncle Clifford back by stealing that money. She should have been. They should have shown us give her a get back with Corbin as well.
Man, this disappearance scene you keep playing over and over again. It was right there in our faces, man.
It sure was. It was.
It was right there in our faces.
Blink your eye, and she's gone.
Yep. I'm disappointed more than anything that they haven't rolled out with some conversation about it. That's what it disappoints me, and it speaks to what's really going on behind the scenes, I think.
You know what? She could have helped Mercedes get that money from Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. That would have been an interesting storyline too, to see them team up.
This is why I made the Charlie's Angel reference. They all have their gifts and their talents. And I think it may have been a better direction to keep some of these smaller stories, but to pull all of the characters that we love from the Pink together for a caper.
That's
like
right.
I thought that would have been a really. At first, it looks like they were going to be warring against this whole Delta situation and trying to keep them from all getting picked off one by one and killed. And there's this haunting, and it's going to come
And
out like
rescue
we were
Diamond.
salivating for that.
And rescue Diamond.
And and eventually rescue whoever was kidnapped. Like, what is going on?
I'm gonna leave it like this because I gotta get ready to check up out of here. So I'm gonna leave it like this. Besides the personal attachment that I had to the show and to Haley, I feel as though that her character her character was kind of lost behind this because there were so many different aspects that we have yet to explore, and they should have never kidnapped Diamond
Mm-mm.
behind it. Where I feel as though in the next month, some more stuff is going to unfold where we find out the real reason. Because people
Mm-hmm.
can't hold water. Whether it slides into TFZ, or TFZ decide to pay $50,000 to somebody in the inside to get this story, or whoever, we're going to find out more details of what's going on in the inside of that studio of why did she want to leave, so we can have a better understanding. Or she might just unleash her own story during the interview. Somebody might get the exclusive interview and say, "What was your reason of leaving?" And she might give it to us then. But I do think that as people that's invested, certain people paid for stars in order to watch P Valley early, things of that nature. Of course, they don't really owe us nothing, but we definitely would like to know as consumers, as the audience and viewers of the show. So I feel
It's a
as though
bad
that they
move.
could give us. I feel as though they could give us something beyond the fact that she feels as
A
though.
few
Why do
sentences,
you feel as
right?
though the carry? Why do you feel as though the character went as far as it possibly go? Because having this conversation with y'all and looking at our audience and the people that's into the chat, we all believe something otherwise. So they
Right.
have to see it just like we see it.
That's
Yep.
And
right.
they have to. And there's going to be other people who does the podcast of P Valley, other people who follow the show is going to have their comments and their videos and their postings up trying to figure out what goes on. And I do believe there's some higher ups that write the show, that's involved heavily in the
Oh
show,
yeah.
see some of these things. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to know something. Give us something to grasp that we can sink our teeth into instead of, well, the character as she knows it has hit his wall, has hit this brick wall. We
And
need something else.
it could be a simple case of writer's block because we know that the showrunners and the writers and the cast are heavily involved in watching our reviews and interacting with the fans on social media. So it wouldn't surprise me if they take a lot of our theories and ideas and introduce that into the writers room and try to see what they can
Something.
put into the show.
The
I
If
can
same go
you're writing for a show, you can't have a block. You get
yeah.
rid of the writer and you bring in a new writer.
And maybe that's what we need right now. Maybe we need
maybe.
maybe we need some other writers,
But
you know.
Mhm.
hell, they just did 2 year break. Take a break, okay? All right, take. We waited. We waited. We
But
waited.
I
We
think this
waited.
this this looming lawsuit is probably what's creating a lot of this writer's block, in my theory, that they're going to have to try to take the show in a totally different direction to make it as uh, unlike Nikki Gilbert's claim as possible. You know, they're trying to take this DNA for this show and just make it so where it's nothing in comparison to her claims that they stole her idea. So I think that's why we're getting all this chop and screw writing and with the characters, because initially she was going to go a different direction with these characters, and now she's having to remix all these characters' story to make
Probably.
sure that it doesn't
And
match up with her claims that she stole their idea.
Well, let's
and
just
I'm a,
do this. Let's just agree to all meet back
We're gonna meet back when we get some
when
more
when
updates.
yeah,
when
we
we
gonna
get a
meet back.
little bit more
Definitely.
so we can just really talk it out, because I really enjoy the conversation that's going on, especially in the chat.
The
Like,
chat is off the chain as always.
Always. They
yeah,
Always.
I
always come
mean,
through.
but it just, for me, it just speaks to a broader audience, that this is a small, what do they call that when you do a when you do like a little study with a small group of
Focus
people.
group.
Yeah, it's almost like a highly condensed focus group, but they are speaking to the larger crowd. And so I would love to hear, as people gather some more information about what's going on, for us
It,
to come back and talk about it, because I think we're
agree.
on to something.
Agree. It depends, Xavier, because if you look at the credits, most of the shows are credited as Katori Hall being the writer. So I don't know actually how many people they have writing on this show. I know on other shows there are a team of writers and there's a whole writer's room, but just looking at the credits, most of the time they always credit Katori Hall as the writer.
Yeah, there's another guy there, names is usually paired with hers. I see
Yeah, I
when
think
it's
there's
going
another
off.
guy. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up for tonight. I appreciate y'all all showing up. This was somewhat of a shock for us, so we felt like we need to jump out here and talk about it. But I agree, Miss Hunter. We're gonna meet back when we get some more updates on this story, and we'll keep you guys posted. As always, we appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all next time.
Guys, take care.
All right, everybody have a good week.
Bye bye.